Hello everyone, welcome to session 26 of QA training. In this session, we are learning about defect life cycle. Defect life cycle is an important concept in the testing process. Defect. What is a defect? Defects are events that occur during test case execution and require investigation. When you report discrepancy between the actual and the expected results, then it is called incidents or defects. Incidents can be a defect in the functionality of the application, a defect in the code, a failure in the test environment, or a mistake in the execution of test activities. Some defects may have a minor effect on the functionality of the application, whereas others may cause the application to crash itself. We need to analyze the defects to get the details or the root cause of the defect and report additional information about the defect. This information will help in finding the solution to fix the problem easily. In order to manage all the defects to completion, you need to follow a process and rules for the classification of defects. This process is called as defect life cycle, or we can also say that bug life cycle. Defect life cycle or bug life cycle is the journey of a defect from its identification to its closure. This defect life cycle varies from organization to organization, and it is maintained by the software testing team. And this life cycle varies from organization to organization based on the project and based on the defect tracking tool that is used by the team. We shall look into the life cycle of a defect. Here, defects is having so many status, and all the status we will discuss here. So here you can see so many statuses for the defect. New. Once you log any defect and it is verified by the test lead and the defect is valid, its status will be new. This means the defect is logged but not yet approved. Open. In this stage, the test lead approves the defect and makes it as open defect. Assign. In this stage, leads assign the open defects to the corresponding developer and change the status to assigned. The developer can mark the defect as rejected if the system is working according to the required specification. And in some cases, the developer may defer the defect to fix in the future releases. And if the defect is valid, then the developer will fix the defect and change the status as resolved. Verified. In this stage, software tester tests the fixed defect, whether the defect is completely fixed or not. If the defect is completely fixed, then the tester will close the defect. That means in this stage, in the closed status, software tester will retest the defect, and if it is really fixed, he will close the defect. And if the defect is still resides, then he will reopen the defect. So these are all the different statuses available for a defect: new, open, assign, resolve, defer, reject, verified, reopen, and close. Defect lifecycle implementation. It is important to to educate the defect life cycle to the team. So it is very important to educate the defect life cycle to the team. Also, make sure that the defect life cycle that you follow is well documented. Ensure that each individual clearly understand his responsibility as regards each and every defect. And also make sure that enough detail is entered in each status change. For example, do not simply drop a defect, but provide a reason for doing so, why we are dropping the defect. You have to clearly mention the comments for each and every status change. Defect tracking best practice. Defect tracking is an important process in the software development life cycle. Defect tracking can be tedious, yet comparing tracked defects can also help testers improve their work. The below given things are need to keep in your mind while reporting your defects. Information capture. Defect tracking must be simple enough so that people will use it, but cannot be oversimplified because it must capture vital information about the problem. For example, determine what information is needed on description, products, and screenshots. Information should be added as the issue moves through its life cycle. Simple is always better when it comes to using the application, but make sure that information needed to reproduce the defect is always tracked. Communication. An open line of back and forth communication can facilitate constructive dialogue between who reported the defect and who is responsible for fixing it. Environment. Some defects only exist in specific environments. To provide thorough testing, the QA team must identify and test all possible software and hardware combinations. Screenshots. Reduce ambiguity with screenshots. Attach screenshots of failures to reduce ambiguity and confusion. A screenshot can simplify the defect reporting process. Screenshots can be especially useful when team members do not speak the same language. Avoid duplicates. Avoid defect duplication. One defect report is helpful. 10 reports about the same defect are not. To minimize duplication, users should query the database prior to submitting a defect, whether the defect is available or not. Make sure to run a few simple queries in the database to determine if the defect already exists. By avoiding duplication, users will not spend unnecessary time researching defects that have already been fixed. So this is all about the defect life cycle. That's all, team. Thank you all.